And welcome into GolfSportsNet.com, everybody. Doug Holton along with Coach Fred Riley. We're talking Senior Bowl this week as the game is coming up Saturday in Mobile, Alabama. And, Coach, you've been out of practice this week. Amazing to me how much talk still is about that Saints-Rams ending last week. Everybody has still got their mind on that.
You know, and I watch games for whatever reason. I mean, it's just always the way I've been this way. I watch them as a coach and not as a fan. And you know, when the Saints threw the ball on first down in the last drive and threw the incompletion, I screamed at the TV. You know, because now you have set yourself up for all the what-ifs that can happen, as opposed to, you know, the only what-if that could happen up to then is you run the ball 3 downs, they burn their timeouts, you kick a field goal with about 40 seconds to go and see if they can go down there with no timeouts and win it. But now you create some other scenarios that could happen, including missing a pass interference call. Everybody knows it was missed, but that probably shouldn't even have happened.
Right, and, shouldn't have gotten to that point.
It really shouldn't have, and I think Coach Payton would probably tell you that behind closed doors.
Yeah, that's the flip side. Let's talk about Senior Bowl practice this week. Of course, you've been out there today to watch a little bit, and through the week, what's caught your eye this week?
You know, the quarterback from Duke, Jones. You know, he has all the Manning characteristics, 6'5", 225, sort of carries himself like Eli and Peyton. He spent a lot of time at the Manning Academy. David Morris in quarterback country has coached him for years. Where they met over there and spent some time together. And you know, you could tell there's a lot of buzz about him. And also there's a corner from Penn State that I can't pronounce his name. His first name is Amani, and he's got this long with a lot of letters in it last name. Yeah. But that guy is the real deal playing corner. I mean, he's big. He plays press man coverage, but doesn't have to put his hands on you. He just glides. I mean, he is a pretty football player.
Right. A lot of small school guys that you learn a lot about during Senior Bowl week.
No question. And guys that there's, I mean, again, the 2 guys that I had play in the Senior Bowl, one from Northern Illinois, one from Samford. They both come down here, put a great weekend. One gets drafted in the first round, one gets drafted the first pick of the second round, and come from having nothing in Mobile, Alabama, to being millionaires. So so those things can happen.
A lot of buzz this week also about Freddie Kitchens and the Browns taking over. Freddie's taking over as the head coach there. You had a chance to coach a guy that is actually on Freddie's staff at Chattanooga. Tell us a little bit about hooking up with him this week.
And it was unique how things went. You know, Chris and I, Chris Jones, who's been the head coach for the Saskatchewan Roughriders for 5 years, we had spoken last week, kiddingly, me asking him, did he need somebody to scout for him for the Canadian League down here, and he explained to me how much the territory it would be and how few nights I would be at home, and I opted out of that opportunity. Yeah. And so we were just laughing about that. Then like 3 days later, he gets hired with the Cleveland Browns. And he was a grad assistant at Alabama when Coach Kitchens was playing at Alabama, and we got to have dinner together. I guess it was Tuesday night, Monday night, and it's actually him and all of his Saskatchewan coaches that were down here. He was sort of saying his goodbyes to them, and so we got to tell stories, and I talked about, you know, what a much better coach he is than he was a player, because as a player he was a walk-on, and you know, would have been probably should have gotten on the field as a personal protector on the punt team, but that was about it. And he acknowledges that and knows that.
What do they have to do? They haven't won for a while in Cleveland. This is a big week for them at the Senior Bowl and the NFL Draft. What are they looking for? What do they have to do to get things turned around?
I think their offense seems to have gone in the right direction with Baker Mayfield. I think the next thing is making sure defensively they hold up. Chris's job is basically to oversee the defensive side of the ball, not his position as a coordinator, and it's not really a quality control position, but it is to analyze everything that's going on defensively and to report directly to Freddie about, you know, how he would tweak things and things that he sees that need to be fixed and need to be adjusted, and I think that's a major point for them.
Speaking of defense, one of the big guys in the game as far as local interest, Deshaun Davis out of Pritchard and Auburn. We heard from him a little bit earlier in the week. Let's hear again from him as he makes his case to the NFL coaches and scouts.
I feel like my film is pretty good. I started in the SEC for 3 years on a top 15 scoring defense. Only 4 teams have done that. Been a leader all 3 years. And I tell people all the time, if you put 6'2" on the paper, 6'2" can't run out there and make a tackle for you. So no matter what, I measure no matter what anyone else measure. I know my game. I know what I can do for a team. I know what I can do for an organization. So I'm not really worried about it. Whoever takes me, and I'm gonna do my best to be the best linebacker I can be.
Okay, so Deshaun Davis coming out of Auburn, Coach, his height is a little bit of an issue for the NFL, and also his pass coverage. What does he have to do? Can he do those things well enough to make it into the league?
Well, height-wise, he's not going to be able to do much about that.
Yeah.
I mean, he is what he is. And, and I've known Deshaun since he was an 8th grader at Denton Middle School. And, and he's always been a passionate kid, a kid who played hard, who loves football. But he's always been a little stiff in the hips, carries himself a little high. And in the NFL, where the game is going now, all the coverage stuff that you have to do, all the man coverage things you have to play, and the way they create matchups for you now, I mean, it's really going to be a test for him. And I think somebody will give him a shot, but it's a tough road for 20 years ago. I mean, he's a prototype NFL linebacker, but football's changed a lot, and he's got a ways to go. But it'd be interesting to follow his career and see how it works out for him.
Right, maybe a free agent guy down the road.
I think so.
Let's talk about Auburn. Also, the big news this week: Cadillac Williams coming back as running backs coach. That's an interesting move from Coach Gus Malzahn, and maybe he's thinking that'll pay off on the recruiting trail down the road.
And I think name recognition certainly has something to do with it. But if you look back at what Cadillac has been doing, or Coach Williams now, I mean, he has been coaching. And he, and he's not one of those guys that jumped right in from the NFL, for instance, and went into a coaching spot. He coached at West Georgia, IMG Academy. So he's gone and paid some dues coaching. And guys that are great players a lot of times aren't great coaches because things came too easy for them. And but he has gotten into the profession, as I said, paid some dues, worked his way in the right direction, and the time certainly seems to be right for him to go to Auburn, and we wish him well.
Yeah, we haven't heard a lot about the Alabama guys this week at the Senior Bowl, but they have a ton of juniors coming out, so it's going to be a big NFL draft for them as well.
No question. I mean, that will continue on. I mean, the names change, but the body types don't.
Yeah.
And at Alabama, and everybody's trying to mimic them. Clemson sort of is that other team that does it the same way now, and that's why they get to play each other the last game of the year a bunch.
Yep. All right. Well, enjoy the game Saturday, and appreciate you being with us this week.
Thanks for having me. Very good.
All right. And we'll see you next time right here on GolfSportsNet.com.